What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Angle of Pursuit podcast, your fantasy football, sports betting, and NASCAR home here at the fakepigskin.com. That's where I'm going. My name is Kyle. You follow me on Twitter at Notorious KRO. With me once again, it's Brian Twining. What's up, Brian?
What's up, Kyle? I am excited to get NASCAR back. It's been a long 10, it'll be a long 10 days since we last had a race. So
Yep.
I'm excited to get back into the long circles.
Absolutely. And this is normally where we shout out listeners. Today we're going to shout out me because I nailed it. My Denny Hamlin pick, it didn't feel great. It felt a little dirty at the time. But he found victory. He found victory lane. He's doing donuts in the infield. Caught the checkered flag and is cashing tickets for anyone who backed him. So it was a good week for me. And I'm excited to get back on the horse and talk some more because I'm sure there's no way we can go back to back, right?
No chance in hell.
So we're here to talk some Foxwoods Resorts 301. We're heading to New Hampshire. As always, if you're enjoying the show, make sure you mash that thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. We're here in the comments. Let us know who you like. Let us know which drivers you're backing for Sunday's race. And if you hit some winners, we'll shout you out in next week's episode. But let's start like we always do, Brian. Let's go inside that 10-1 area. It doesn't feel good, but when you hit a winner at 7.5 to 1, it feels pretty good. So let's start there. Let's start at the same price, a guy that we're both backing. So this is going to go great or horrendous. And I'm leaning towards the latter, but we'll see. We're going Party Marty Truex. We're going 7.5 to 1. Talk to me about him.
So I was looking at the numbers, and again, this is another track. I was looking at the last 5 races here. Kevin Harvick absolutely has been dominating here once again, but the guy who was right behind him was Martin Truex. Over the last 5 races here, his worst finish is 7th. He's actually led the most laps at this track over the last 5 years. He's placed top 5 3 times here. He's had kind of an up and down season to date. He's a guy who we've backed a few times, and it seems like every time we do that, he has this crappy race. So that'll probably fit right in with his current trend of good, bad, bad, good. He finished 3rd last week, so he's due to have a bad race. So hopefully we're not the jinx here. But I'm hoping he breaks that trend and has a second consecutive good race. But inside that 10 to 1 odds, he's my favorite guy.
100%. Over his last 6, he's got 4 top 10s, 2 top 5s. As you mentioned, he got a top 5 last week. He's also led the 5th most laps over that span. So in terms of finishes, it hasn't been as good as we expect. But in terms of where he is in the race, he's been performing well. It's just a matter of closing the way he has the ability to. Looking at the odds, there's 3 drivers ahead of him. He's kind of in that chunk, and he's kind of with the elite group that he tends to be right there along with, especially at a track like this. I'm 100% on board with Truex, and I probably like a top 3 if you want to go and give yourself a little safety might make more sense. He's currently 2 to 1 for a top 3. A top 5 finish. Feeling great about that, but it's minus 118. It's not a price I love. So top 3 feels good, but yeah, I think he absolutely has the stones to win this and get it done. Another guy inside that range that I kind of like is Brad Keselowski. Currently sitting at 9 to 1 to win the race. This is more of a recent form play for me. 3rd best average finish over the last 6, 2 top 5s, 6 top 10s. So he's a guy that if you wanted to, kind of delve down the board, plus 250 for a top 3, minus 240 for a top 10. But, if you're looking at a guy who's consistently running in that top 10 conversation, like it's a heavy price to pay, but I feel like it's a good one. And then plus 150 to finish in top 5. So I like that also. In terms of recent history at New Hampshire, he's got 2 top 10s over the last 6. Not great. But I'm expecting, a kind of a bet on recent form, like we've done with the guy that we're actually going to talk about next, and Eric Almorolla, and a couple other drivers. So let's dive into him. Let's talk Eric Almorolla. Let's talk that 20-1 price tag. Obviously, a nice payday, but if we're backing Almorolla this week, we're probably looking elsewhere, right?
Shit. Pardon me. I wouldn't be opposed to placing, 10, $20 on him to win the race. Dude is just absolutely crushing it week in and week out. He has 8 consecutive top 10 finishes after a string of 5 straight top 5s. I mean, he is just owning the track everywhere that he goes. Each doesn't matter the size of the track, how big, how much, what the turn angles are. Like he is racing tremendously in this season. And then if we're looking at what he's done at this current track going into New Hampshire, his last 2 races under the new ownership with Stewart House Racing, he's placed 3rd and 11th. So he's a guy who, if we're looking at for this track in particular, I'm looking at like a top 5 finish for him as something that I'm going to be targeting. As those are kind of our favorite things. It's hard to pick the winners. He's currently almost 3-1 for a top 5 at plus 280, and that's some nice cheese if he continues to race like he has been.
Right, and you get him at 5-1 for a top 3, which when we're talking about guys like Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin being inside that to win the race, and how well he's performed as of late, I think it makes a ton of sense. And obviously throwing a few shekels on the outright in case it happens, because he's been right there for a couple of the races and had the legit chance to win it. So I don't hate going that route either. But if you're looking to consistently make money betting NASCAR, the top 3s, the top 5, the top 10s, that's where you're going to do it. The head-to-heads.
Yes.
Find some matchups you like with Eric Almirola and you look that way. Similar as I'm going to be betting Kurt Busch 28-1. In terms of form at New Hampshire, it hasn't been great. But if you just kind of look at what he's been doing lately, he's having a renaissance. He's having a late in his career revival. This is a guy that has, of the last 15 races, has 12 or has 10 top 10s, which is only trails Brad Keselowski and Kevin Harvick. He has 3 top 5s over that span. Like he's been performing exceptionally well. Been consistently in the pack. Running towards the front, being in the conversation when the race comes to an end. And at 28-1, I'm probably not looking that way. But if I can get 7-1 for a top 3, or I can get plus 375 for a top 5, that's something I could definitely be interested in.
Yeah, Kurt Busch is a guy who we mentioned before, and he's one of those veteran drivers who seems to always be, at or near the top third of the pack. And if you're looking at a top 10 finish here, which is where I would lean with Kurt Busch, like that's something that's a safe gamble with good odds.
Yep,
which
you're
is
good
good
money on a top 10, like plus 105 currently, and all the lines we're referencing are from DK Sportsbook. But getting positive money on a top 10 with a guy who's just been running so well that all you need him to be is in that top third, like that feels like no bet is safe. Anything could happen, especially in NASCAR where you can crash or whatever. But it feels like a really wise investment this week. Let's go down the board just a little bit farther, and let's talk about your guy, William Byron. Once again, 40-1 to win the race. Talk to me about him.
So the last time I backed him, he was running extremely well and then wound up having one of those aforementioned crashes, which made him miss the race. So, there's some risk involved when you're every race going into this, but he's a guy, he doesn't have a lot of experience here. Like Almorolla, going back to Almorolla's last 2 races under his new ownership, William Byron has only raced here twice, and both times he's finished 14th and 12th. So he's a guy, if you're looking at making a bet, like top 10 for him is 1.5-1 for 2 really good races he's had here historically. He's Also, one of those drivers that's on one of those good, bad streaks, and he's due to have a bad one as he finished 10th last week. But again,
You don't bet.
just like Marty Truex, we're looking at him breaking the trend. So I like Byron. He's one of the youngest. He's one of the youngest drivers in the Cup Series. He seems to always kind of be mentioned during the race as being, running in the middle of the pack with kind of constantly moving up the track and amongst the standings, making lots of passes. So I like him in top 10 bet and in like any daily lineup you're getting, as he's starting like in 16th place. So every place he's moving up, which I'm expecting a top 10 finish, you're getting good numbers from him.
Yeah, and he is like legit top 5 upside, so he could definitely finish in that conversation and cash a big number for you, and help you in your DK or FanDuel lineup. So I like that call quite a bit. If you are enjoying the show, if you like what we're doing, make sure you mash that thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the show. It really does a lot to help us expand our audience, find more people to watch the show, and then keep us creating content. So that's what we're here for. But Brian, before we get out of here, let's give the people what they want. Let's give them our best bet. Who are you targeting this week?
All right, let's do it. I'm going Eric Almorolla, top 3 at 5-1.
Woo!
I'm going heavy this week. I'm
I
placing
like it.
my trust in this guy who's been so hot.
Let's do it. I'm going Party Marty Truex for a top 3 as well at 2-1 odds, plus 200. I'm happy with that. Double my money, plus if I get my money back, plus doubling it. I'm sitting pretty, and I'm building that bankroll, and I'm happy with where I'm at. And then I'm gonna probably take a look at Eric Almirola and Kurt Busch, especially in some matchups and stuff too. Make sure you guys are enjoying the show. Let us know who you like this week. Drop your best bets down in the comments, and we'll shout you out next week if you hit a winner. But for Brian Twining, I'm Kyle Robert, and we'll talk to you guys next time.